Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday, the 22nd day of June, 2023. Well, a 22 energy, that's very cool. It's 22 is a master number, so is 11 and 33. 11 is awakening and enlightenment, and 22 is the cosmic builder. So, what profound things are you going to manifest today? And then 33 would be Christ consciousness. That's really seeing through the higher vision of the soul. Um, so cool energy to start the day off with. We've already been out and about going and buying plumbing fittings for irrigation pipe. Well, we do both. We have flood irrigation, and then we have two big ponds, and we pump out of those and to areas around the property that either don't get enough water where we flood, or my husband likes to also use the irrigation water to water our yards as well. We don't have to do that, but he just likes doing it. He likes setting up pipe and lots of sprinkler that he can just then turn on sections, and it just, I don't know. It's his thing, so. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the significator runes for the reading. The Elder Futhark rune is the first one we'll do here, and that is the above side of things, or the higher self side of things. We have Rado. Now, Rado's about soul journey. You can look at this more broadly in terms of integration, a certain level of harmony. You can think rider and horse, if you will. That integrated motion and rhythm that you get with the horse when you ride a horse. So I'm told. But basically, it's I just really view it as the integration between soul and ego. I mean, if you want to get down to its basic essence here. But more broadly, again, it could be how you integrate with others today. And are you doing it, from a non-ego perspective? Or are you trying to control the whole situation? Those are the two ends of the spectrum there. And, obviously people tend to fall, within that range, but that's the dichotomy there. So anyway, let's take a look at the geomancy runes here today. Oh, we're looking at Albus, and so that's encouraging. Albus is the sage, it's clarity, it's wisdom, and so when you've got both, here we go. Here's Albus. The opposite of it, or complement of it, is Rubius, which is a misuse of force. That's total ego. So this would be spirit. This is pretty much invoking spirit into physical reality. So hopefully you can, whatever integration you have with others today, or if it's, you're trying to integrate, and transmute ego into spirit, you can think of Rado in the same way. So either this is about a very personal thing going on for you today, and you're trying to maintain a more loftier attitude about stuff, or we're looking at, integration with other people and harmony. Collaboration would be another word we could use. And are you doing it, from the standpoint of clarity and wisdom and higher purpose, maybe you'd say. Let me just shuffle a little bit more. If this is your first time here, welcome. I appreciate you coming by. If you've come back, thank you so much. And I hope you'll click subscribe and join our little tarot and rune family here. Divination methods are just fun to use. Whether you're looking at, what we typically think of as it's not really divination per se, but people might regard astrology that way. Or if you're looking at other forms of, like I Ching, and then the I Ching is used in human design. That's an interesting system. I like that really well. But then I like the I Ching, so it's cool. It's very prescient, you look at that and you think, wow, because that's been around for a really long time, and to think that somebody came up with that, it's like, who did that? But anyway, what was that person's mindset? Were they totally higher self-aware when they did that, because it's really it's remarkable. But you can just look at this stuff as just something to think about. When you're dealing with issues and you draw some cards, you pull a rune or two, or you look at the I Ching and you take a look at the message behind all of it and see how it can actually enhance your life and your decisions and your perceptions and all of that. So that's basically what we do here. Let me go ahead and cut the deck. Take the lower half and pull 3 cards. Well, we have the High Priestess, the Ace of Wands, and the 4 of Cups. When did we have the 4 of Cups? We had that on Monday. We also had the 3 of Cups. That was about, I think that was about, let me see, what did I finally call that? Let me pull this up here and see what I called it. Letting go of self-imposed restriction. Yeah, that's what it was letting go of self-imposed restriction. Well, I had a bunch of stuff up on the screen. So anyway, I like to title them when I put them on the other places I write. I write at Stepping Aside. I'mSteppingAside.com is the web address. And if you want to know more about the website, you can click on more under the video, and it opens up a box, and the web address is right there. Scroll down further and you'll see, Substack and Patreon and links to that, and also Medium, where I write over there too. And I've only recently started putting the write-ups on the blog itself. I do it on the other places I write, but I don't usually put that up on the blog. I do put the video up, but not any write-ups. So anyway, I've started doing that. I think I'll continue doing that. But anyway, if you want to look over there at those places and follow me over there, that'd be cool. But anyway, let's get back to the reading here before I get off topic and have to stop and restart, So anyway, it's like, oh, geez, But anyway, let's look at the High Priestess. Right now we have, let's see, 4 and 2 is 6 and 1 is 7. So we have a 7 numerology for the reading itself, and we're looking at observation and balance, justice, letting things settle, so you can actually understand what's really going on. 7 also represents magic. That's another thing. And because magic really is bringing things into balance. And so I guess that's probably why they do that. I have all of these pollen alerts coming over my phone here. It's just distracting. There's like 4 of them that will come up. I don't know why. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the High Priestess, I think. The High Priestess is a card from the Major Arcana. It's card 2. We begin with the Fool, we move to the Magician, and then the High Priestess. High Priestess establishes the subconscious realm for us. When the Fool takes its leap into form, the gender is determined at that point, and the Magician brings everything together energetically, elementally, all of that. And then from there, that'd be the outer structure of things, of the life we choose. And then from there, the High Priestess is about the subconscious part of self. You're looking at intuition, higher wisdom, the divine feminine, revelation, compassion, inner wisdom. And I think that we're looking at that as well with Albus today, even though it's the Geomancy rune, and so it'd be the lower self. But we're trying to access inner wisdom today. It's the dream state. It can be, it's very watery, very water element oriented, not water elemented. And it's about alignment. It can also mean something that could be hidden. And when you think about the subconscious, that's the hidden side of self, the hidden realm that we also exist in. And, but basically we're talking about the goddess sitting on a stone bench, basically. You don't really see anything behind her other than the drape, unless the drape is covering the back of her, or it could be superimposed. It almost looks like it's, well, no, it's actually on the drape. I was going to say it almost looks superimposed onto the back of the bench she's on, but no, that's not true. And if you could see the whole thing, it would represent the tree of life from the Kabbalah. You see the pillars there, Solomon's pillars, basically pillars of Solomon, Boaz and Yakim. It's really the balance between light and dark. You can also look at this as feminine and masculine polarity, and that's not gender, that's energetic. Masculine could also be thought to be projective. I'm actually a little more comfortable with that word. And then feminine would be receptive. And so the darkness of the void is really the high priestess herself. But that's the feminine side of things. From the void, creation comes. That's where they get that. Her foot's sitting on, resting on a maiden moon, and you see the triplicities, maiden, mother, and crone in her crown up there on her head. She has a cross here on her gown, which is really about this. It's not a religious cross. It's not anything like that. It's how we focus into form. The vertical axis would be spirit focusing into form, and here would be your polarity, feminine or receptive, and masculine or projective. We tend to live down here when theoretically we should be in the center, where we're aware of who we are, both as spirit and also as form, and how we strike that balance. In terms of when we reach the physical reality, that's where the masculine and feminine presence kicks in, and where you're going to fall along that continuum. Ideally, we should be in the center when we would achieve true balance here. Anytime you see two of anything side by side like this on either side, it's indicating balance. And so when you're looking at Rado and looking at Albus, you're looking at how are we striking that higher spiritual balance with the reactive ego that's part of our physical reality. How are we doing it? Are we doing that from a standpoint of wisdom, higher wisdom, or are we letting ego drive the ship? And I think that what this is suggesting, that if we are integrated in a proper way, that way, energetically, spiritually, then we are better able then to express that type of inner wisdom in our interactions with other people today. We have the Ace of Wands. Next, the aces are the beginning of each suit, and it's said that they contain all of the energy of the suit itself. And each one will have its own representation depending upon its suit and the element that it reflects, but they all have the same thing in common, which is a hand reaching out from the cloud, holding something. In this case, it's a crude club. You see, even though it's separated from its source, the ground, it's still growing, isn't it? And that's the fire element. Wands reflects the fire element. It reflects the spark of life, creativity, creation, motivation, new opportunities. And so something's going to come about today that could represent some kind of a new opportunity for you. Now, whether it's about a new opportunity to collaborate with other people, maybe, if we're keeping in line with the idea of Rado here and its integration, again, soul and ego integration, but at the same time, remember, it can be something to do with your external reality and some collaborative thing that is going to come about today that could prove to be successful. Wands is can mean that. It can mean you look at the 2 and the 3 in particular, you're looking at manifesting new opportunities and then waiting for them to come into fruition. With what you do, you manifest with the 2, you're choosing your path, you're walking through that doorway, and then you're standing at the doorway waiting for it to basically manifest. And and maybe that's not the whole situation at that point. Maybe it's just, okay, I've made this choice and now I'm waiting to see how it begins, maybe. So it can be, again, on a continuum of experience there. But with the ace again, if you're talking about something new happening, then again, maybe this experience of integration, higher level integration, is new to you. Maybe you're just discovering that aspect of self, and you're trying to figure out, how do I manifest that into my reality? And with the 22 numerology for today, the energies are really dovetailing for something like that to be. So maybe this is an awakening of sorts as well. Maybe that's sort of implied in all of this. But if not, if you've always been aware of this, perhaps it's a new collaborative opportunity that's coming today that is going to give you a chance to manifest something successful. If you don't get in the way of yourself. The Four of Cups is an interesting card. It too has the unseen hand reaching out from the cloud, holding a chalice here, while three more sit upright on the ground. The guy, though, he's in contemplation, and I mean, depending upon what's really going on here. I mean, we might have been able to start with the Four and read it that way, where he's all caught up in his emotions, and then all of a sudden it comes to him that he needs to have some inner balance between spirit and ego, and then new opportunities will result from there. Now, we may end up reading it that way, but just for the moment, he's in a defensive posture. He's got his back up against the tree, the oak tree, and you have to ask yourself, does he even feel the oak tree's presence? Is he even drawing any strength from the tree? But his arms are crossed, his legs are crossed, it looks like his garment is crossed, and so there's just this element of protection here. And with cups, we're talking the water element and our emotions and change, and maybe he's feeling a little bit resistive to change. But again, it's getting stuck maybe in your own emotional, emotional feelings about something. Maybe you're having difficulty accepting that something needs to happen here and that something new is coming. And so maybe he's a little bit afraid of that. But in fact, let's just leave it that way instead of moving it to the front. And let's take a fourth card and see if we can get a little bit more information about this. But it always strikes me, my initial, when I first saw this card forever, in the very, very beginning, when I started learning tarot, years ago, I looked at this one, and the first thing that came to mind was pity party, that he's just so caught up in his emotions. He can't see what he has. He can't see the emotional strength that he has. And he's just sitting there. But on the other hand, when you're looking at something where, if it is going to be the end card, well, okay, where did that one go? Oh, there it is. Actually, there was more. There was three that I dropped. If we're looking at that as the end card, it could be that he's just maybe experiencing a little bit of fear about this new opportunity, and trying to see things from a way that is a little more integrated, with higher awareness. And maybe it's just new enough that he's a little bit afraid of it. Or we can just begin the reading with that and say, well, he's kind of stuck in his emotions. He needs to find some balance. And when he does, a new opportunity could arise, one where he can express himself from a higher perspective. So maybe we'll end up with two different readings out of this today. I'm going to take the 13th card. And you don't have to do that when you're taking another card. That's just my way of making it truly random. 13, I was born on the 13th of October, and everything seems to happen to me in 13s. And so it's like, okay, if something significant happens, then I'm counting. Okay, what year am I in? And when is something else going to happen? I know people that cycle that way. It's like if you've got somebody that all of a sudden starts acting funny and maybe out of character, or they get too much into something and they overreact, and things just seem to spiral for them. I knew somebody one time, this would happen every 10 years. And it's like and I noticed the pattern not right away. It was like the third time, or well, the first time, and I didn't notice it the second time, but the third time. So I've known this person a long time. It's like, whoa. And I started thinking about it, and it's truly that he was cycling. every 10 years he'd go a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and get all and be, he'd think he's all that in a bag of chips basically, and he's not. He's just a normal guy, but he gets ahead of himself sometimes, and it seems to be in cycles for him. And for me, it's 13 years. I don't know why. But here we have the King of Cups. Now, if you've been here before, you know I don't care for the kings. I kind of view them as manipulative and a little self-centered. Now, there's other aspects of them. I mean, the King of Cups, again, can be compassionate. He can be someone who is kind and generous and wanting to help and all of that. But the other side of the king is he can be passive-aggressive. And so it just kind of depends on where he wishes to go. And although he's looking toward the future, not exactly. I mean, kind of off. It's like he's paying attention, but he's kind of lost in his own thought process and his own emotions. And maybe he's paying attention to you, or maybe he's thinking about other stuff. You know how sometimes we do that? People are talking and we're thinking about our response before they've finished talking. So maybe we don't even really know what they're going to get to, and already we've formed our response. And then it gets weird, and because it's like, well, no, I just said this, but see, you're too busy thinking, and you're not listening. It's a thing. It happens. It happens with a lot of people, and I think it probably happens with everybody. You just start thinking about your response to what they're going to say, and maybe you don't hear everything, and then you feel kind of foolish at that point because you jumped the gun, right? But I think that the King of Cups, although I think he can certainly be wise and loving and spiritual and kind and generous, I think he can also have problems with commitment. And maybe the underlying thing, if we do leave this in the order that I drew them, and you don't have to, you can move cards around to make them make sense to you if you need to do that. But I'm wondering here if we just want to leave them as they are, and that maybe this idea of integration with others, if that's what this is, this collaborative effort, maybe this opportunity that's coming your way, maybe you're just not sure about it, and that's, emotionally, can I commit? Because I think that this is going to further define the four. And it may just be that this is something new where you're not so sure. Maybe you're used to working independently on something, and now you need to bring someone else in because it's the wise thing to do. And there again, that's reflective of both Rado and Albus with the wisdom, and Rado with that integration and harmony with other people on the same path. And to me, that's collaboration as it manifests into form. That's collaboration, is what it does. And I think that maybe it's something that you might not be all that comfortable with. But at the same time, to grow, it's probably a good idea. Even if you take baby steps, even if you're keeping the conversation going, you're checking in together, so that maybe whatever fear you might be feeling about it can kind of subside. And over time, in this rhythmic process, and really that's another thing about Rado, it's process over goal. So again, maybe this really is about this new collaborative effort is coming your way, and you're feeling a little bit, concerned about it, and maybe it has to do with commitment. You're not sure that you can really commit to such a thing because it's not anything you've really done before, or if you have, maybe it's had problems and you're just not comfortable. Maybe that's why you work alone, if that's what this is about for you. Take that risk, take that leap of faith to integrate within, to see things from a higher perspective, to let your intuition guide you instead of your fear guiding you. The higher awareness will tell you. You'll know if something seems off, and then use that time again as part of the process to talk about it and to work through it. And maybe even in this new collaborative endeavor, you just lay it out on the table and say, you know what, I'm a little nervous about this. I know everybody involved is there and willing and ready and has the experience necessary, but my experience with collaborative efforts has been a little upsetting or nerve-wracking or confusing, or it didn't work out, and all that, because maybe egos got together. And that again is you keep the line of communication open with everyone, and if anyone's got concerns, let's stop, let's bring it to the table, let's get rid of it and deal with it, and so that we can move on together. So again, it's examining that collaborative process, maybe not so much about the goal, although I'm sure the goal will be realized and fulfilled. But the bottom line is, this may be something that you're not particularly comfortable with, but again, it doesn't mean that it can't work out, and it wouldn't be something then that would give you the opportunity, once this one is successful, maybe then you'll see the value of it in future endeavors. And so that to me is, I think what this reading is really about. And I think the King of Cups just further identifies the issues with the guy in the Four of Cups, where, you know, he's just a little worried. You know, it's not that he's in a pity party like I typically say, and it's not that he's doesn't understand what he has. I think he's just worried about what's going to happen and how it's going to play out. But at the same time, you know, the ace is saying this is a time for new beginnings, and to step outside your comfort zone maybe a little bit, and see what comes up for you. You know, it could be a really positive experience, and if you can commit to it, right? So anyway, I think that's it. That's it for a Thursday. I think our frost is all over with. It really nailed my corn though, so I think I've got 68-day corn, so I think especially if we have good weather in September, if this doesn't pull out of it and continue growing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plant some more corn today anyway, irrespective of what it's going to do. And hopefully, you know, if some of them don't make it, then that's fine. I'll have other corn come up, but I hope it does. But it did. It nailed it. It actually got to 32 the other night, and instead of 34. And I don't know if my husband didn't turn the water on soon enough. I suspect that's what it was. He went out at 5, and he probably should have gone out at 4 to turn the water on. But it didn't save it. Now, on the other hand, my potatoes were fine. Same bed. But it did hit the pumpkins and the zucchini and the cucumbers. But I think the zucchini is salvageable, and I know the pumpkins are, and it didn't get everything. That's what was weird. We have a thing where it hopscotches across. It doesn't necessarily level something out. And that's what happened over in that bed. Everything else is great, but that one, I think it was just the timing was wrong. But I'm going to go ahead today, and after I get done here, I'm going to go and just plant some more corn out there amidst the rest of it, and just as a backup. I think it'll be okay, because the center still seems to be growing. It didn't seem to hurt the entire corn plant itself, but the leaves got bit, and I don't know. I overplant. I do this. I don't know. It's sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's not. But I mean, you know, we grow this stuff for the winter, and plus we like to give some to the chickens, and you know, you want it to survive and grow. But anyway, you never know where we live. You just don't. But I think that's over with. Hopefully till, you know, maybe the end of September when it starts to frost again, or mid-September maybe. So I think I might have some time there to get it to grow again, and if I plant today. If I don't, then maybe not, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. Go spend time in your garden or out in nature somewhere. It's quite healing, even, you know, when you're in tears over your corn. So anyway, thanks for watching. Come back again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.